Um, yeah, so what I'm doing right here now is, okay, first of all, you know how in GX, okay, I hope this volume balance is right. Right now I have like the in-game audio and my voice going and stuff.
It should be fine.
Okay. Um, so you know how you have each machine has like 3 grades that the game gives it. Actually, like, you can see 4 stats per machine here. You have weight, you have body, boost, and grip. And that's all the game tells you. And as we might know, not all of these are necessarily accurate. Like, you have Fat Shark here. Its boost is rated B, despite having, like, bar none, the best booster in the game. It lasts the longest, it's the most powerful and stuff. And its grip probably isn't E either. And you have stuff like Black Bull, who has an E boost apparently, but he has one of the better boosters in the game, and his grip is definitely not A. So what is the game exactly hiding here with these stats? I mean, first of all, these stats most of them are taken directly from F-Zero-X, and they completely retuned the machines, so a lot of these aren't accurate. The other place where you might find stats is if you go to like the F-Zero shop, you can see these like graphs for each machine. And you have body, max speed, XL, and cornering. You also have the body boost, grip grades as usual, and so these seem to be a little bit closer to what the machines actually do. But on the other hand, like, you have a lot of machines that just kind of have their unique feel, and you can't really put your finger in it, like, and all the game tells you is that, you know, the cornering is, you know, 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5. So it turns out that in memory, there's like 20 different stats associated with each machine. Like, literally there's like 20 of them.
And
And
that's only the
that's,
ones we know of.
yeah, well, I think that's gonna be at least most of them. But like, basically there's a lot of, already from what we know, there's a lot that the game is hiding from us, basically. There's a lot behind the physics of this game. So, let's see, I'm gonna start off by showing this max speed stat. Okay, first of all, this display is kind of weird right now because we're not in a race. I'll update it right now, and now it's more accurate. But before you enter a race, what the stats you're seeing here, they are like the base values of the machine, and the base values apply when the machine is at 50% settings, like right in the middle of the XL max speed slider. But when the countdown starts, and if I update the display again, you see that a couple of these stats have changed according to the settings that you picked. In my case, I picked 100% settings, all the way at max speed. So just so you kind of remember what Blue Falcon looks like, I'm gonna focus on max speed right now. So you can see, unboosted, it gets a max speed of like, you know, like 1030, something like that. Falls a little bit below that when you turn, but that's to be expected. So we found this stat here called max speed, which corresponds to the boosted and unboosted max speed, actually. It's like just something that overall makes the machine faster or slower. So what if we bump this up to like 0.4? So here's kind of where the fun starts, or like editing the values and seeing what happens. So this is kind of comparable to what you would see in, you know, Big Fang, Fire Stingray, machines like that. So you can see Blue Falcon is now going at like, once I'm not crashing into walls, it's going like 1100. So this is definitely tied to the machine's max speed. just to make it even more obvious, we can put it to like, you know, 1.0 or something. And now I don't even need boost to go to 1200. And the boosted max speed is also affected, because you're not going to see Blue Falcon reach 1700 so easily. So basically, like, if the unboosted max speed you know, goes up by like 200, generally the boosted max speed is going to go up about 200 as well. So it's just an overall increase in the machine's max speed without any real caveats. So this is a really important stat. And generally, like, this is like the sole reason a lot of machines reach 1100 kilometers an hour. So that's a pretty straightforward stat. You know, why not see what happens? We bump it up to 4 or something, because we're here. As you can see, there's not necessarily a cap to what your speed can go to according to this. How about 12? Alright, we're going 2000 now, without boosting. So naturally, no machine actually has a stat of max speed that's this high. The highest you see is like, I think, 0.55. You're not gonna see 12 anywhere. It's pretty cool to see, like, you know, what if you were able to tune the stats that high. Alright, so that's enough for that stat, I think. So the next one that's really fundamental is acceleration. I don't think this is the absolute best level to demonstrate it. Let's go to lateral shift and use hyperspeeder. That should be good. So normally hyperspeeder has really low acceleration, right? Gets going really slowly. And it means that you start the race slowly. Your dash plate effects and boosts don't like pick up speed that fast. And whenever I can actually do a successful shift boost that doesn't gain too much speed either. So you know, it's not the only thing that affects shift boost. You also have weight, which is a important factor, but we'll get to that. XL is also, not surprisingly, affected by your XL max speed slider. Let's see. So just to illustrate, if we set this to something like, I think this is Night Thunder acceleration, so oh wait, I better update this display here. Okay, I just have to like manually update when I click this update button. That's so that it doesn't have to constantly check the memory every frame, so that makes this whole thing run a lot smoother for me. You also see that when I set XL, okay, let me set the XL back and forth again. Well, not 33, 0.33, okay. So now hyperspeeder's max speed is 0.5. So that's pretty darn high, and that's how it gets like 1100 kilometers an hour, right? So now all I'm doing is setting the XL to 0.7, the base XL rather, and the max speed has actually changed as a result. So the XL actually changes the formula used to compute the max speed according to the settings. And so essentially, no machine that has high enough accel is gonna have like a decent max speed. You only have machines that have low accel be able to exceed 1100 kilometers an hour without boosting, and that's just because of how the formulas are computed or chosen for max speed. So that's kind of weird.
Well, Crazy Bear has a low top speed but high acceleration, and Night Thunder. Is there like another factor in the formula which is like really, really low to counteract the high acceleration?
Really low to cause what effect exactly?
That their max speed is lower, despite having high acceleration.
Oh. Yes, it's pretty much just because of this that you're seeing here, that
Yeah,
since
because like
Crazy
this
Bear
case,
is-
it's like other variables are held constant while increasing acceleration. While Crazy Bear and Night Thunder have like a whole bunch of different stuff going on.
Yeah, but I mean, you can see that just by increasing Hyperspeeder's XL, I've already knocked his max speed down to like 1020. So that alone makes a huge difference. So that's pretty much all that's causing the low max speeds for a Crazy Bear, as far as I can tell. So I guess Hyperspeeder's shift boosts aren't like outrageous either way, but it's definitely a little bit more noticeable. But you can see he gets more from like each dash plate as well. You know what we can do to make it more noticeable. Okay. Well, okay, it doesn't help that I'm not the best at shift boost, but okay, there we go. There's some acceleration. But yeah, you get the idea. This ain't the hyper speeder, you know. If you set this thing high enough, like I don't know, 6. Let's try 6. Oh wait, that's like the base value, and then alright, let's try 7 then. That should get the XL to like 4.9. Should be good enough, yeah. Alright. Yeah, we're seeing some more effects here. So here's what happens if your XL is like 10 times higher than normal. Oh, hello. Okay, my Dolphin just crashed. Hang on. You do that sometimes. Okay. Fortunately, I got it. Whoa. Okay. Okay, I have to wait a bit. Take 3. Alright, there we go. It doesn't have to be lateral shift, actually. I was probably gonna change tracks to show this off a bit better. Actually, earlier I was using Red Gazelle, so at least I know that works. Let's do that. And let's see. Execute script. Update Excel. Okay. So we should be back in business here. There we go. Alright, let's get a better look at this. So if you set your XL high enough, you have this odd stop and go movement, which I think the bumpy road really emphasizes how weird this is. Yep, we're still going in the air like this. It gets temporarily like sort of normal if you hit a dash plate for some reason. And then it gets weird
yeah,
again.
CGN mentioned it that the game has like a speed limit of like 10,000, and you keep exceeding it, and then it forces you to stop.
Yeah,
That it's like, oh, that's pretty much only present on like Chapter 2 snaking records and shit like that. Will you actually see that in place? Or tool
yeah,
assisted runs. I forget about that most of the time because it's just not relevant to human
yeah.
play, really.
Yeah, I generally won't see this unless you're tassing or you're playing with stats like this. I like how he just keeps doing that in the air.
What if you hold brake and gas?
Hold brake and gas. Yeah, well, just kind of stops in the air at least. Yeah, he just kind of stops. Alright, but yeah, that's basically what that looks like. We should make sure we get through a decent number of stats here. Okay, boost interval. Oh, by the way, I'm mostly like paying attention to what I'm doing and my notes, so let me know if there's any questions in chat. Alright. Boost interval. So I think Silver Rat is going to be a good one to illustrate this with, because his boost sound is really noticeable. Wait, that's not the correct one. Okay. I think, wait. Is this guy's boost interval 1.3? I guess. I thought it was either 1.2 or 1.3. Alright, anyway, so as you can see, this guy boosts roughly every 1.3 seconds. And that's what the boost interval is. It's measured in seconds, and yeah, just like it's basically the boost cooldown time. And the cooldown time after a dash plate is about half of this, so it would be about 0.65 seconds. So the main reason why this stat is important is that if dash plates effects last longer, then you're gonna have a much better run in levels with a lot of dash plates. This makes a pretty big difference because you can't like stretch out all your boost until the energy zone in lap 3 unless you have like decently long dash plate effects. So machines like Silver Rat here suffer from that. If you change your boost interval, so 2 is, alright, gotta remember to update. 2 is what Fat Shark has. So I'm boosting as often as I can here. As you can see, we now have the Silver Shark, who has the longest booster in the game. So yeah, pretty straightforward stat. As you can see, the dash plate effects are also getting longer. And you would have like no reason to do this, but you can also set the value lower than any machine is gonna have. Oh yeah, this machine was a good choice. Yeah, alright. So that's what that looks like. Boost interval. Again, it makes machines with long boost intervals like really good for levels with a lot of dash plates, because your dash plate effects are longer. And I think it also helps with just like chaining normal boosts, because every time you have to start another boost, there's inevitably a little bit of speed loss associated with that. So it's nice if there's like less gaps between your boosts and stuff. Alright. Oh, actually, I think we can use Silver Rat for this as well. He has a pretty unusually low boost strength. Let's see. Just set the boost interval back to normal though, so I can focus on boost strength. I should probably remove some of these others. Alright. So boost strength, like it's a pretty general term, but it's basically what it sounds like. It's the strength or the quality of your boost in general. And it kind of affects like both the boosting top speed and the boost pickup. So if we set this to like, let's see, I think Fat Shark levels would be like double of this, so something like that. We're gonna need a few boosts to illustrate properly here. Oh right, I don't have Fat Shark's boost interval, just the power. Alright, as you can see, we're, you know, breaking 1700 without too much difficulty. I don't think this is the biggest factor in like boost pickup. Acceleration seems to have a bit more influence on that, but as far as like boosting max speed, this is really important. So naturally, if you're playing with this, you would want to set it pretty high. Let's see what a boost strength of 59.85 will do for us. Alright, if I can control this guy. Alright, so basically probably not the Silver Rat, you know. So that's boost strength. Again, pretty straightforward. So now we're gonna get into some stats that have to do with turning. So we've got strafing. Let's go back to SOS, or Sand Ocean Surface Life. I suppose not everyone knows the acronyms here. I only know like the pronounced acronym of SOS, probably because of Dark Eye, but anyway. So we've got strafe and strafe turn. Let's focus on those. So Blue Falcon already has like well above average strafe actually. That's why he has a decent MTS. The strafe is pretty much what it sounds like. It is your strafing power. So, you know, basically like how far you go when you just do this. Incidentally, strafe turn is like how far you go when you do this. Like use the stick and the shoulder button. But first of all, strafe. So like if you set this to one of the lower values, then now I'm trying to strafe and he's really not going far. It doesn't affect this kind of turn too much, maybe a little bit. But it's most noticeable when you're not doing anything but strafing. Well, I guess it affects like quick turns as well. You don't see Blue Falcon quick turning like this. This is some really sluggish quick turning for Blue Falcon. So yeah, strafe definitely affects how you can handle your machine. MTS also becomes a lot harder if your strafe is low. Of course that means that if your strafe is high, alright. That's an MTS. So, as you can probably tell, this is a really big factor for how good your MTS is. And being able to strafe like this also helps for shift boosts, just to make them easier. I believe Quick Star has pretty much a higher strafe than anything else that's commonly used in time attacks. So that's not a big surprise that, you know, because its MTS is just that good. It's largely because of this strafe stat. Like, it's not the only thing that affects MTS, but it's definitely a big factor. And then you've got strafe turn. Alright. Again, strafe turn is like if you just use the stick and the shoulder button, then how much does that let you turn? It's specifically like how much effect does it have? How much effect the shoulder button has when you are when you're strafe turning like that? Because you can actually hold the stick one way and the shoulder button the other way, and then if your strafe turn stat is strong enough, oh sorry, forgot to update that, then the strafe will actually like overtake your control stick direction. Probably more noticeable if I put it like really high. Right. Okay, so I'm gonna go right in the stick, left of the strafe, and yeah, strafe wins. Oh, another thing about just a normal strafe stat. I think if you set this to like multiple hundreds or something, then you get a lot of tilting on your machine's model. So that's the other thing that it strafe affects, like graphically. So trust me, it doesn't tilt this much normally. I think there was a point where it actually like gets confused as to which way it's supposed to tilt. This was a while ago that I tested it, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Oh yeah, I'm strafing left here, by the way. I'm strafing left. And now I'm strafing right. You're gonna have to trust me on this one because I don't have input display, but yeah, that's the thing. I better try an MTS with this now. Alright. Well, MTS doesn't get too outrageous after a certain point, but definitely affected. Okay, so now we got turning. If anyone's seen these turning stats before, I used to call these like turning 1, 2, and 3 for lack of better terms, and the other day I was looking into these stats more, and I thought I wanted like at least an attempt to rename them, so this is what I came up with so far. Turn rotation is what I'm going to be looking at right now. Alright. So I'm picking White Cat here because White Cat has one of the more extreme turn rotation values. And essentially it means that when you turn mainly with just a stick, your ship rotates a lot. So not too surprising there. Actually, White Cat is weird for a number of reasons. This isn't the only one. The other reason is that its turn reaction, which I've called it, is 0, which is the lowest in the game, tied with Wonder Wasp. And it's also got some funky grip stat, I think, but yeah, the high rotation on this stick only turning is the result is that turn rotation stat. So if we set this to like 0.12, which is like what Blue Falcon has, then the turning actually becomes a lot more familiar. A bit stiff in White Cat's case, but it's like that, and it actually looks a lot, a lot more normal, I guess. So essentially, if you set turn rotation higher, then you've like fixed White Cat. You could put it that way. Quick turns aren't affected that much, though. It's mainly like stick only turning, and possibly, I think strafe turning is also affected. Let's see.
So what would happen if you put it like way smaller, even like 0.0002?
Not much special happens, but I think it does get interesting at negative values. So I'll get to that after this. Now this, right now I put it at a pretty high value, 0.21. I believe this is what Death Anchor has. Well, first of all, Death Anchor turning is not exactly like this. For White Cat, this just makes it kind of stiff after a certain point. It's almost like Mighty Hurricane-ish, but not exactly like that. And turning with just a stick, it's really hard to get anywhere. Oh, yep. I think this kind of gets pretty odd if you set it even just to like 0.4. Let's check it out. Maybe it's like 0.5 I'm thinking, but not really. Just getting like impossible to turn, but other than that, maybe it was like 1 or something. Whoa, alright. All I have to do is unpause a bit. Yeah, that's something special. Wait, where the heck am I right now? Alright, all I was doing was holding A, by the way. Oh boy, alright. Okay. So I'm not really sure what's up with that, but weird things happen when that's high enough. Okay, what happens if this is at 0 again? I forgot. You can still like kind of rotate your turns. Huh. 0 actually feels like normal white cat. Oh yeah, that's because white cat's normal value is already really close to 0. So all it is saying is that 0 isn't like a particularly special value, it's just like, you know, close to 0.008. Okay, what if we make this like substantially negative though? I think this is where things got interesting. Oh yeah, there we go. Turning right here. And the machine can't help but dart off to the left. Let's make it a bit more prominent. Okay, yeah. So you try to turn one way and the machine really wants to go the other way. That's probably what you would expect from negative turning. Okay, I had Rainbow Phoenix marked down for these next couple of stats for some reason. I don't know if there was a particular reason, but let's just get some different machines in here. Drift Highway is a pretty good track to test turning and stuff. Alright, so turn movement. So these next two stats are kind of harder to distinguish. Movement and reaction. Like movement, I know it's kind of like a vague term, but that's really just the sense of what I got from this. Like it just generally affects your turning. I couldn't really put my finger on anything special about it. So it'll have to do for now, but maybe we'll come up with a better name later. So for what it does, the other thing about this stat is it doesn't really make sense if you look at the list of which machines have the highest values and which machines have the lowest. It almost feels like it's tuned to like compensate for machines having too high or low of other stats. Like higher values are supposed to mean like, you know, more sensitive turning, as you can see. Rainbow Phoenix doesn't really go like this normally. But at the top you see like Gown Star and I think Death Anchor maybe. I don't have the thing open right now, but you look at that and you try to figure out which, like based on what machines are the highest and lowest values, what does it mean, and it's hard to figure out that way. Okay, so now I set it to like way lower, and the turning has gotten a lot more stiff, particularly with just this stick. Again, I couldn't really put my finger on exactly what it is, but generally the higher it is, the more maneuverable your machine is. And at low enough values it becomes nigh impossible to turn. Yeah, I haven't actually like set this really high recently, so let's see what that does. Okay. Nothing too special. At least if your machine doesn't have like ridiculous grip, it just makes you lose grip easily. Okay, my thing crashed again, but you get the idea. Okay.
What happens when you set it to a negative number?
I don't think I've tried that actually.
It would be fun if it gets inverted. So, let's see.
Yeah, let's do that. Alright. Okay, we're back in business after I redo these checkboxes. Yep, I think that's it. Okay. Alright, and negative values. Let's put it at like just negative of what it is right now. Alright, turning right. Oh, I think you're right. It just gets totally inverted. Alright, so
Oh man, that's amazing.
turning right. Wait, is strafing inverted? Hang on. Okay, strafing is not inverted, so that's gonna feel pretty weird. Can I make this turn? Sorta. Alright. So the MTS, you're gonna have to push shoulder and stick in the same direction. Okay. Like that. Okay, so that's turn movement, I guess. Good suggestion there, by the way. Okay. Oh, I better reset that value before removing it from the list there. Okay, turn reaction. Yep, that's the next one. Okay. I think the highest value you'll see here is like 30. That's what Mighty Typhoon has. You see that it does this. It kind of like affects your turn in the short term, is the best way I can put it. So this way it's one thing you notice, it's a lot harder to aim for the edges of dash plates. That's actually something you'll see with Mighty Typhoon as well. So yeah, the machine doesn't particularly like slide when you do this, from what I've tested. So it kind of like improves your turning grip in a way. I don't think quick turns are affected much though. MTS, I think MTS actually is like harder when you set this high. Okay, yeah. The MTS radius becomes a lot tighter if you set this high. Which generally wider MTS radius means that MTS is much easier and, you know, more versatile. So if this stat is high, then you're probably not going to have a particularly versatile MTS. So that's another thing that's important for MTS. Might as well set this really high. I don't think I've tried that. But we got something like this. Suppose you could turn in circles without too much trouble. In fact, if you do turn movement as well. Okay, we almost got like an actual circle without hitting the rails, but not quite. Good camera. Alright. Let's move on to grip stats just for a little bit. Although the grip stats, I have to say, I haven't like really ascertained which grip stat corresponds to, you know, what effects. I just know that they all affect grip. But it could be interesting to check these out anyhow. I think Drift Highway is still good. Let's do Mighty Hurricane. It could be used to illustrate at least a couple of these. I don't think I'll spend too much time on grip because, like, again, I don't have like a really good grasp on which stat corresponds to what. Okay, those are the values. So Mighty Hurricane has pretty high stats for all of these grip. Pretty high values for all of these grip stats, which isn't too surprising because Mighty Hurricane's grip is pretty ridiculous. Like you see when you try and do a quick turn, it kind of like wants you to stop or something. So it kind of makes sharp turns pretty hard. Let's see. I forgot if you see like that much of an effect if you set grip 1 lower for Mighty Hurricane. But let's see. So I've set it way lower right now. Not particularly. Okay, maybe we'll see more of the effects if we change the other stats, so we'll get to that. That's not exactly what the stat used to be, but it's close enough. Okay, grip 2 though, if you lower this, definitely something will happen. So this is much lower now. Let's see. Okay, see these quick turns now? Like, you might be able to tell just by looking that they're a fair bit less stiff now. You can actually go like this. I think at this point you can even MTS. Sort of. Okay, yeah, you can kind of MTS. But it's even more noticeable if you lower grip 3 as well. Well, let me set grip 2 back up first. And let's put grip 3 down to like Night Thunder levels. I think Night Thunder has like low grip stats on pretty much everything. So again, like, just feels a lot looser. And you can do MTS. There's something odd about how the quick turn starts now. Just a lot more loose. Now if you set both these pretty low, the MTS should get even better. But we're also kind of like getting more skiddy quick turns. Alright. Yeah, so this is the Mighty Thunder, I guess, now. Okay, MTS. There we go. Okay, you're never gonna see a Mighty Hurricane do stuff like this. Ever. So definitely loosening the grip is a big factor for good MTS as well. We already went over like strafe and one of those turning stats being relevant for MTS. This is another thing. Now I haven't actually tried setting any of these to 0 or anything like that, but first I'm gonna set all these really low and see how it feels. Oh, okay. We've got really sensitive stick steering now, like this. So actually you have a lot of machines like Black Bull and Wild Boar. I'm pretty sure they're not bad in all of these grip stats. It's mainly like 1 or 2 of them that they're kind of bad at. So again, grip mechanics are pretty darn complex, so I don't fully understand them. Just not to spend too much time on this. I'm gonna set all of these to 0 at once. Just see what happens. Alright. I think without input display you can already tell this is kind of ridiculous. Hey, look, it got stable again. He's just like rotating on his own without me even touching the stick or shoulder buttons. I'm just holding A right now. So, grip is important. This is what happens when you don't have it. Looks like you've re-stabilized after you land from a jump. That's interesting. Okay, so that's grip. Okay, we got a couple of fun ones coming up. Let's see. What did I have in my plan here? Okay, Green Panther might be a good one to use for this. Let's see, is this? Okay, yeah, so drift acceleration, this is the one where some machines really get formula screwed. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So okay, see how drift XL, the base value for this guy is 1.05. Okay, so higher is better here. It literally means like when you drift, you either accelerate more or decelerate less. Now, set to 100% and it gets cut down by like 10 times. And actually, if Green Panther's base value were just a little bit lower at 1, they would not get this penalty. And incidentally, Wild Boar has a drift XL of 1, a base drift XL. And so at 100% he keeps all of his drift XL, and that's why Wild Boar loses like no speed on quick turns. And it's also why Green Panther loses like all of his speed on quick turns. It also applies only to like slippery quick turns, or like if you hold L and R for whatever reason. So if you played Green Panther before, you probably know what I'm talking about. Looks like this. If you just like try and quick turn like grippy cars would, and it's generally not a good plan. So if you... Okay, in fact, I can do this right now. Just set the base value to 1, which is a lower base value, but the game now thinks like, hey, I shouldn't penalize this car on Drift XL, so let's just keep it the same. And you know, it's not like he's snaking or anything, but he keeps a lot more speed when he does quick turns. So that definitely makes a big difference for like slippery ships. And okay, let me set it to like, actually I should just go into settings. And set it to max XL just to show you what happens. Okay, so now we're at like 1.68. And yes, we are gaining speed from quick turns now, particularly slippery ones. So Drift XL is the snaking stat, you could call it. So if the formula gods are with you, as far as, you know, keeping your Drift XL at 0%, then you've got really good snaking. This guy's okay at it, not like super great. The highest values are something like 2.3. I think Black Bull has like 2.08 or something. Let's see. I set this to like, or yeah, that's one of the higher values. This is a realistic value, by the way. Drift XL of 2.3. It's like, this is, you know, I mean, snaking is in the game. It's not something you can get just from playing with stats, but it almost looks as crazy as some of the things we've seen earlier in the stream, doesn't it? But yeah, you've all seen snaking from Forever's run earlier. So basically Drift XL is the key. It's not the only key, because like, depending on the car's like turning characteristics, you know, the strides can be like wider or something like that. That's another thing that Black Bull has going for it. I think weight might also be a factor, but yeah. Oh, actually I should set that. Alright. Yeah, I'm gonna go back to 100% actually. Or wait. Okay, so for this one actually, I think I found Lightning Thunder Road to be pretty fun to demonstrate this on. And let's just use Fat Shark. Fat Shark has one of the highest turning deceleration values, I believe. So that's basically what it sounds like. This applies more to like stick turning and strafe turning. Quick turns. Oops. Gotta make these reflect Fat Shark. Yeah, quick turns don't play too much of a part on this, but like, it's mainly like if you steer with just a stick, you know, without sliding around. Fat Shark loses a lot of speed that way, and especially with like strafing, strafe turning, that kind of thing. Basically, if you turn like this is why Fat Shark is hard to master. Well, one of the reasons is that you can't just like strafe stick turn all over the place. You're gonna lose a lot of speed unless you do quick turns like everywhere. And turning decel is the key. Fat Shark has pretty much like too much of that. So to illustrate, maybe I should look at the values for this. So what's a realistic but low value for turning decel? Okay, so 0.01 is actually pretty common. Like half of the machines have that. It seems like 0.01 is a value that a lot of machines are just like locked to here for whatever reason. It's just like most machines aren't allowed to go below that or something. But yeah, strafing everywhere. As long as I'm not hitting the walls. I think Sonic Phantom has got to be one of the machines with like 0.1. Yeah, it is. Along with a bunch of other cars actually, but Sonic Phantom's notable because people actually use it for Phantom Road, because those strafe turns are pretty useful there. It's hard to do quick turns everywhere in Phantom Road. So yeah, stick turning doesn't lose too much speed now. Still hovering around 1100 when he's not boosting. So I guess that's like one of the things that devs put into sort of nerf Fat Shark, but it's still like overpowered in most other things. And as long as you master quick turns, Fat Shark is pretty hard to beat. Let's see. So I think if you put it at 0, nothing like too special, it's just like even less speed loss from this sort of turn. Unless you skid. Skidding is different. That's related to Drift XL. So skidding is Drift XL, pretty much like everything else is turn decel, I think. Okay. So you know what's interesting? If you put this at... Is this gonna update? Hang on. Is this one of those things that... Oh wait, this might still be on like... Huh? I'm not sure why it's not being reflected there. Okay, yeah, I actually didn't change it by doing that. So... This worked for one of the machines I tested. I have to save this for later. Maybe if I load this state again. I'm pretty sure this works for like Super Piranha when I tried that. It'd be worth it if we got negative turn decel working. Oh, it kind of locks to minus... Oh wait, okay, I remember. Because this formula is weird and it, like... Okay, how to make this formula not weird again? There was a way to do this. I have to experiment a little bit. got a really high value. Might be easier to let's see. I'm gonna actually disable the instruction that writes to this. Like, I don't have to do this for most of the values, but the formula is kind of stubborn in this case. Okay, so we should be able to write directly to this value now. The display might be a bit... Oh, it's actually not misleading, okay. Okay, this should be good. It's kind of like superficially reminiscent of T drifting. -1. Okay. So essentially, turn, strafe, gain speed. So I named it decel because like at positive values it just controls like how much you lose speed. At negative values it... Well, you can do that, okay. Yeah, so this is a nice one to play with. Wow, alright. So that's turn decel. We're actually going to come back to that. Hopefully we have time. There's only a few that I want to go over like quickly. And then like a couple of like final things. Final demonstrations after that. Alright. So we have this thing called drag. And Dark Schneider is the perfect machine to demonstrate this. Should probably stop disabling that one instruction. Or wait. Let me check that it's not... Okay, it's not like that anymore. Alright. Okay, there's drag. So there's something weird about Dark Schneider. Just like it feels really bogged down by some kind of force. Like it just feels a bit different from like hyperspeeders and low XL. It's not just that. It just feels like the boosts really should be doing more, but they're not. Dark Schneider also has the highest max speed stat in the entire game, but it's not showing when he actually like drives. There's a reason for that, and they have this thing that they call, well, we call drag, and the normal value is 0.01. So say we set it to that. And hey, we're over 1100. Once we're off the ice anyway. Okay. Dark Schneider still has like pretty low XL, so he's still not gonna get like ridiculous boost effects, but typically not that easy to go over like 1700. So now we're harnessing his true max speed. And naturally, you'd want to see what happens if you set this to like 0. Is this the thing where... Okay, yeah. Well, actually, we're still decreasing a little bit, but as you can see, there's like barely anything slowing him down, as it's just like cruising with MT. So drag is seems to be the main thing that slows you down during MT. Otherwise, you'd just be able to go on like at almost the same speed forever. So most machines have the same drag value actually, but it's pretty significant. Because without drag you'd be able to do this. Naturally, you'd want to see what happens if you put it negative. Okay, wait. Oh, actually, it's... Huh. Okay, so this is interesting. If you have the engine on, you're going like this, right? If you have the engine off, then you go like this. Alright, we're upside down in the pipe now. So even with like a relatively low negative value like that, we're already getting pretty ridiculous. So drag works at like pretty large scales, you could say, or small scales. Alright, we're going now. It's like a space flying strat, probably. Okay, yeah. Is there a different drag for engine on and off? Well, I think it's just that when you have the engine on, you have other forces that take part as well, like acceleration down to your normal max speed and stuff like that. So there's just like more forces in play when you do that, but drag affects you at any time, including when you have the engine on. Because as you can see, your speed actually gets like, but it's different when you have a different drag value still, even if your engine is on. So we can say that at least. Still go like this. Oh, I almost made it. Okay, yeah, this is definitely a fun one. I really like it when racing games like don't force you to hold the A button all the time. And this just takes it to the next level. You don't have to hold the A button at all. Alright. So I think you get the idea. Let's see what's next. Let's see. I hope I have track collision, like... I do have it working here, right? I actually don't. Okay. Wait, no, that's obstacle collision. Track collision should work. Okay. We might not get to obstacle collision, but... there's a thing where that's basically like how close can you get to like rails before the game thinks that you hit them. So that's obstacle collision. I suppose we're not going to get to that here, but we can do track collision. So as you can see, you know, you can kind of tell like when your machine is going to go off the track. So this thing is like dependent on sort of the width of your machine, I guess. I think this is relevant mostly to the width of your machine. So to illustrate, if you set it to like 10, I think we want higher values here. Let's see. Oh wait, is this one of those things that... Okay, yeah. So directly add the value. So as you can see, we can go a lot farther out until the game thinks that you're actually like off the track. Let's try doing a shift boost like this. Kind of hard when you don't know where the edge of the track is. If you set this... Oh wait, gotta set the actual value. If you set that real high, then you can just, you know, go out freely until you hit a death plane, but you know, just gotta do your thing out here. Still kind of like follow the, you know, the undulations of the track and stuff. Whoa, okay. Alright, yep. I've mainly tested this on like places with no rails like this. Oh wait, I think it's actually... Oh look, it thinks I'm on the auto track. Okay, I've now landed on that track, so... it kind of like registered it. Actually, I think this only applies to places where there are no rails, if I'm not mistaken. So like, if we go to the side of this... Right? Okay, first of all, this still works, right? And then you go out here. Yeah, okay. So it only applies to places without rails. That's what it seems like. You can even just go like, you know, a tiny bit out here. Yeah, so now I remember testing that before. But yeah, this part is pretty cool. What happens if this is like 0? Oh, I got to change that, right? Okay, yeah. So as you can see, I think the center of my ship is like way over there, I suppose. And if it's negative, yeah, that's pretty much what you would expect. But yeah, so I guess this corresponds generally to like how wide the machine is. I don't really have a great idea of how they programmed it, but Yeah, that is that. Okay. So there's a couple of camera variables here. Yeah, I actually have no idea how long I've been going here. Does anyone have an idea?
1 hour and 20 minutes.
Oh,
So that's a bit overestimate.
a little bit. I could show off at least one of these camera variables. I don't know, what do you guys think? Should we like try to wrap this up sooner, or do you guys like where this is going in general?
I like it, but I'm not sure if Uchiha has the time to
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
play that late.
I'll do one of these camera variables because this one really jumps out at you. Like, so there's something about Red Gazelle, right? Okay, there we go. And that's a different machine. Okay, so most machines have a value of 1 for camera repositioning. So if you were wondering what camera repositioning is, just play this track with this machine, and you see there's something a little bit funny going on here with the camera. The camera just doesn't follow Red Gazelle very well as it goes on kind of like a bumpy or pipe track. So this level is really awkward to play with Red Gazelle. And just to prove that this is what is causing it, so look, we've fixed Red Gazelle pretty much. Like, it's still a little bit tricky to steer because of Red Gazelle's steering abilities, but it definitely has something going on with the camera, and that's because of this one special stat, which most machines have like the exact same value on, which is 1. And a few other machines have like different values, but nothing as extreme as Red Gazelle. Now if you set this to 0, okay, once again this actually only applies to bumpy roads. Like here it's totally fine. But once you go on a pipe, alright, here we go. So camera repositioning 0. And what happens if you go in first person? Huh. Wait. That kind of like subverts it, doesn't it? Never thought of that. Alright. But yeah, if you zoom out like at all, then you got this camera. So that's pretty neat. Okay, moving on to... I think I'm gonna move on to like maybe the last 2 demonstrations I have planned here. So this is the body stat that I didn't cover yet. If I can get to my script here, and let me change to something that displays like the energy values. Let's see, it was either layout B or C. It's layout B. Okay. Looks kind of funny right now because we don't actually have like energy for it. We don't have other machines in play right now. So I'm gonna go to or just any race, and then put up some CPUs, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This will become non-garbage in a sec. Alright, here we go. So at the top is my energy, and you got like a few other machines' energies. I've actually got like the ones that start in the top 5 positions here. And as you can see, regardless of body stats, everyone starts at 100 energy. As you can see, that uses up my energy when I boost and stuff. It's gonna be a bit more slowdown on Dolphin here because this script updates in real time. But yeah. So that's pretty neat, right? And then, you know, scraping the rail also affects your energy. I'm not entirely sure how to get to my body stat from here actually. Let me check quick if I know how to do it. If not, then I'll move on. I'm gonna have to do like some hexadecimal math, so maybe not. Okay. So what I can do, I can go to story mode mission 2. So if you ever wonder why you can't retire Fire Stingray in this mission, you're gonna see why shortly. But okay, funny thing, right now it displays 100, like fair race, until you get to that screen, and then you see what his energy levels truly are. As you can see, a boost only used like, you know, 17 energy as it would normally, as if he had 100. The boost still uses the same amount of energy. Hitting the wall still takes the same amount of energy, but he just does 100 times more than I do. So that's going to take a few side attacks to take him down. Yeah, to illustrate. Hopefully I can side attack him here. Okay, so see, he went down like 100 energy maybe from where he started. It's gonna take a few more hits to say the least.
We can't actually see his amount of energy on the screen.
Oh, sorry. Okay, guess I had to pull it up like around. Okay, that will actually do, I guess.
Alright.
Okay, but actually I'm gonna close this window in favor of my other script. Let's go back to the other layout so I can... Let's see. Oh, oops. Okay, run the new script. Right. Okay, we're back here. And if I okay, let's see. I might actually have to poke around in the memory for a sec. Hopefully I can manage this. Wait. Alright, by the way, this is how I like had to comb the memory at first to find these stats. it takes a bit of time, but alright. So if I can find Fire Stingray instead of Blue Falcon after I scroll down a bit, then okay, here he is. Let me check the offset of the machine name, and we can find Samurai Goro's body value, and we're gonna edit that so that we can take him down in one hit if all goes well. Okay, machine name is at 3C, body is at 3O. Okay, let's add this to the list as a float. Alright, that looks good. Okay, so oh really? Oh, I can just like write to this directly, I guess. Hopefully that works. Alright. Can't actually like see his energy value right now, but let's see if he happens to crash into something. Maybe I should just restart the race. I hope this works. Alright, there we go. Grow down. I only took like one side attack that didn't really hit. So, energy means nothing if you happen to have like a really weak body, which I set Goro's body stat to like 10,000 times as weak as it usually is. So we got back at him for cheating. There you go. Okay. So one last thing I want to show. Sorry that this took so long overall, but okay. So I believe we've mentioned space flying earlier. I'm gonna show you like first of all what space flying looks like without changing stats, and then we're gonna see what it looks like with some changed stats. So basically you go off a ramp or something and you just like strafe infinitely in the air. You can just keep rising, and if your machine is good enough at this, you can actually like, you know, change strafe and kind of move throughout the air. I wonder if I can finish a lap with this thing. I think I can. Whoa, alright. Let's not hit those buildings. Alright, well basically, like, if you do that right, you can actually skip a ton of checkpoints and finish a lap. So, Super Piranha is pretty good at this, right? Now if you play with a few stats. Let me see what I need here. Turning decel, turn movement, and strafe turn. Okay. Strafe turn. Super Piranha's turning is like already pretty good, but we can make it better. I think that's actually too much turning decel, believe it or not. Okay, yeah, that's what I have done. Okay. Are you ready for this? space flying. Alright, we're out of the skybox already. I measured it and it takes like 15 seconds to get out of the skybox with these stats. So if you just want to see how high you can get, memory hacking helps a little bit. And if you try to dive down, you keep hitting that 10k speed cap, unless you kind of go at an angle. So if you look at the stats I have here, I've greatly increased L and R influence on strafing turns. I just made the turning a lot stronger, and I've made Super Piranha accelerate with normal turns. So that's basically what's going on here. Alright. Okay, I think this is a good angle to dive. Okay. Oh wow. It's an interesting task to try and drive normally with this too. But yeah. Alright, I guess that concludes my machine stat demonstration. So, hope that was interesting.